Hello, everybody. Today we are going to start with the first chapter of Science 2 of grade 10. And we are going to learn about what is the life cycle from the first unicellular organism that was developed to the Homo sapien genius and everything, the species, the genus of humans, how did it discover, who were the scientists who helped in discovering all these. We are going to learn what do you mean by hereditary, what do you mean by evaluation, and many more things in this series. Now, what we're going to do, in which this chapter is particularly giving you much more information about the things that you are related to your own life and your own life cycle. So, let me start with hereditary and evaluation. Uh, Let me present myself. Okay, so let's start. What do you mean by heredity? What do you mean by hereditary? Hereditary is nothing but we have already learned what do you mean by genes. Okay, so what do you mean by DNA? We know that very well in ninth standard. We have already done what do you mean by DNA, what do you mean by genes. If not, we'll be learning it ahead. If you want me to give a quick revision, please comment me down below. Okay, so DNA is a dicarboxylic, ribose carboxylic acid, so in which it is an amino acid which forms the DNA. Okay, so DNA helps to just code all the genes, like how your eye color would be, how your skin color would be, how your height would be, like each and everything. What are genes in particular? Genes is nothing but the characteristics that has been inherited from our parents, from our ancestors, from parents to their parents. So it is all the characteristics that we are inheriting in ourselves, and we are producing the same genes ahead, and we are taking the same genes ahead in the next generation, and they will carry on, and that is how it goes on. Okay. So, what do you mean by heredity? Heredity is nothing but something which is passed from the past generation to the present generation. Very simple and very easy to understand. If your mother or your father is having a good height, you will definitely have a good height. Means that gene is being passed to you, so that your height is big. Your height is at that level, so that you can also match their level. I mean, or if there is a dwarfism means if your height is small, so in that case, the parent's height is small, the genes transmitted to you is also small, the dwarfism characteristic gene only. So you will also be a dwarf. So in that case, that is called as a heredity. Now, heredity can be in terms of the phenotypic appearance also, as well as the genotypic, which can carry diseases, which can carry many other effects. If we have learned in the ninth standard, if you remember, we had done sickle cell anemia, that was not hemophilic, that was Queen Victoria, who had carried the gene and has transmitted to Prince Charles and others. So that is what hemophilic, so that is gene that is carried away, so that is heredity. Okay, heredity is a trans. Okay, so let me make a note of this, that each and everything written here is everything from your textbook only, and I have literally made points out of your textbooks only. So you need to read the textbook parallel to what I am teaching you right now. So make sure you have your textbook in your hand, underline or mark the points as we go along, or highlight the points as we go along. You will definitely find few points immediately, but you will have a struggle to find the other points, but you will definitely have it. Just rewind the video once again and search for the point. Heredity is the transfer of the biological characters from one generation to another via genes. As I already explained you, the genes are the carriers of these, the phenotypic appearance, the genotypic appearance, and all these. So the genes are the characteristics that are being carried from one generation to the other generation. George Johann Mendel is the pioneer of the modern genetics. He was the one who started the modern genetics. He started finding out the genes. What do you mean by genes and everything? He started the monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross. I guess you all are very familiar with it. In 1901, the sudden changes were understood due to the mutational theory of Hugo de Veres. Now, Hugo de Veris is very, 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 very important. I want you to mark it like, so important that it is going to come in your examination. So from now, make a note of this thing from day one of this chapter. I'm starting this as the day one till the end of your board exam or till the end of your paper when you write your science 2 paper. You have to remember one thing, that any sudden change, कोई भी अचानक वाला चेंज अगर बॉडी में हो रहा है तो वो म्यूटेशन से ही होगा. इट विल ओनली अकर बिकॉज ऑफ म्यूटेशन. It is very, very important that you need to know this. This is a very important question, a very important MCQ question, a very important anything you can true or false or anything it can be converted into, but it is a very important because I have seen many questions on this mutation and each and every year it has come. So make sure how important it is. I'm telling you right now, please mark it right now. As I had mentioned earlier, please take another color pen and start marking the important points for the boards. Hugo de Veris was the one who invented these mutational theory. Mutational theory is nothing but any sudden change that happens in the genes or the genes are getting fluctuated. Simple example of mutation is sickle cell anemia. One change in the gene sequence that made the whole frame destroy and valine got dispersed, valine got substituted over there and all the hemoglobins were sickled shape. We know that very well. We have studied in 9th standard. You know that sickle cell anemia is nothing but the common example of mutation. Okay, so mutation is very, very, very important. Please mark. In 1902, Walter Sulton observed the pair chromosome in a cell of grasshopper. This is very important. What was the first organism where the chromosomes were discovered or were seen? It is the grasshopper. So that underlying that grasshopper over there because it is very important. Even the scientist's name is very important. Here the years are not that important though. If you can keep it in mind, you definitely, it will be a great thing for you. In 1944, a trio of scientists, Oswald Avery, Melville McClatty, and Con McClelland, proved that if except virus, all the living organisms have DNA as their genetic material. What did they say? They say that virus have RNA, particularly virus. Some viruses have DNA and some viruses have RNA in them. But all the animals, humans, all the even bacteria or anything else, whatever multicellular organism that you can see in the world, except for virus, will have a genetic material called as a DNA. So they were the three scientists who discovered that DNA is the genetic material for all these organisms. The French scientists Francois Jacob and Jacques Manon proposed a model for the protein synthesis with the help of DNA in the bacterial cell, that is the bacterial cell of an E. coli bacteria, Escherichia coli, that is the bacteria in which they found that DNA is present as a genetic material. Okay, so they were the one who invented the first protein synthesis. How is the protein synthesis formed? We know that very well. We have already studied the protein synthesis in 9th standard. I hope you all have revised it, or maybe if you can remember it or recollect it, please recollect it. If you cannot, I'm just giving you a quick jinx of it right now. The mRNA from the cytoplasm goes inside the nucleus, copies the DNA, comes out, and then the other tRNA and the rRNA comes to the mRNA. They arrange the amino acid accordingly. There is a peptide bond which makes them join together, and then the whole complex protein has been formed. This is called protein synthesis. I've given you a quick jinx over here. Please learn it. If you have not done it, please revise it in the 9th standard book. Okay, so this is very important. Protein synthesis. What do you mean by protein synthesis? They were the one who first discovered the protein synthesis in the E. coli bacteria. You can even write over there if it is not written, E. coli bacteria, E.coli. The techniques of the recombinant DNA technology emerged with which has a vast scope in the field of genetic engineering. Okay, so as soon as the DNAs were discovered, there has been a lot of scope of DNA biotechnology engineering, and the DNA fingerprinting, the criminal sites, and all that. The fingerprintings were developed so that we can identify the criminals, as well as for the parenthood. Okay, who is the father? We need to identify. So in that case also it was helpful for them also. This is how it has all helped hereditary and all the hereditary changes. Coming back to DNA, we are again describing the protein synthesis. The DNA, what do you mean by the DNA? How does it look, and what else, what all things are important over here? We're going to discuss only that much. Okay, so let me make sure that second page of your textbook, I think it should be thoroughly by hearted. The whole page is literally very, 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 very important. The first thing till the end of that page, the end line of the page is very important. They have started with the mRNA and they are ending at the sickle cell anemia. It is very, very, very important. It shows transcription, translation, Hargobind Purana, who was he, and all everything. I'm going to explain you right now, though you have to learn the whole page. I would recommend you to at least write it 2 times so that you can make sure that the page is by hearted. Okay. So central dogma or transcription. What do you mean by central dogma and transcription? Central dogma is nothing but a leaf clover like shape which is of the DNA. Let me annotate and show it to you. Something like this. Sorry, excuse me for my drawing, but here the amino acid, 3 amino acids, pair of 3 amino acids, it's been collected. This is the central dogma. Okay, so this is how it is represented. A proper image, if possible, I will show you. Otherwise, this is what central dogma looks like. Information about the protein synthesis is stored in the DNA. We all know that very well. Information about the protein synthesis is stored in the DNA. Synthesis of the appropriate proteins as per the body's requirement is necessary for functioning. Whatever protein is required in your body, we have to make, the body has to make those proteins. Otherwise, if the body is not making those proteins, you will be immune deficient. Immune deficient means what? You will lack those proteins and you will have maybe you might be malnutrition, or maybe you can have some other diseases in which your body will lack the proteins, and you can suffer a lot. Okay, so these proteins are synthesized by the DNA through RNA. First, the RNA helps the mRNA. It's the type of an RNA only. So mRNA goes inside the nucleus, goes on the DNA, copies it, and comes out of the nucleus in the cytoplasm. Okay, in the cytoplasm, then what happens? The concept is known as the central dogma. Whatever the protein synthesis is happening, the whole process is called as a central dogma. mRNA is produced according to the sequence of the nucleotide on the DNA. mRNA always produces the sequence according to the DNA. Only one strand is used in this process. Of course, there are 2 strands, but in which only one strand is copied and it is gone out. But the complementary side, the tRNA will match and it will bring the amino acids according. The sequence of the nucleotide in the mRNA is complementary to the DNA strands used. In the RNA, uracil is replaced by thymine found in the DNA. We know that very well, that of course DNA is a double helix structure. It will have adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine. But wherever thymine is there, it will be replaced by uracil, because it is an RNA. mRNA is a RNA, so it will always replace the thymine to uracil. We know this concept very well. This process of mRNA formation from DNA is called as transcription. Let me give you a small trick over here. There is a word named as transcription, translation, and maybe translocation if it comes then. So transcription, if you don't get mixed up with all these words, it is better to just remember this trick. Transcription, script को copy करना. So that is transcription. So mRNA, what is mRNA doing? It is copying the codon, what is given on the DNA, right? So that is why it is transcribing all the things, all the information, and bringing it outside. So the script is coming out. Okay, now the script is ready. Then everything can be done. Then the dialogues can be read. Then the acting can be done. So first the script comes. So that is nothing but transcription. Okay, have you got my trick now? That will help you. Translation and translocation. As I mentioned you, translocation and translation. What do you mean by translation and translocation? mRNA from the nucleus moves to the cytoplasm carrying the coded message from the DNA. This message contains the codes of the amino acids. Each code of the amino acid consists of 3 nucleotide, which is called as a triplet codon. It is called as a triplet codon. There are 3 pairs, 3 pairs, 3 pairs, 3 pairs, 3 pairs, and it goes on. Okay. Very, very, very renowned Indian scientist. You have to remember his name. He has done a major thing in this DNA finding thing. That is, he has literally discovered 20 new amino acids at that time in 1968, something around 1968. So he had discovered 20 amino acid and their codons for it. That means he had discovered, like, if valine is there or glycine is there. So what is the codon for it? GGG, GAG, GUG, something like this. So there are 3 codons for glycine. So that is how he discovered the codons for more 20 elements. There is a complete table for it. I will share it with you after this page. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1968. You don't have to remember the year, but you have to remember Har Gobind Khurana is the scientist of Indian origin, contributed significantly to discovery of the triplet codons for 20 amino acids. Very, very, very renowned, and a great salute to him. Each mRNA consists of thousands of triplet codons. Each and every mRNA consists of thousands of triplet codons. Triple, and thousands of more. Based on this message on the mRNA, tRNA supplies the required amino acid. Whatever it will read, what is given on this, GGG means glycine ka amino acid leke aao. It will bring glycine ka amino acid. Uracil ka leke aao, so it will be something AUA. So uracil ko leke aao. So that is how all the amino acids will be arranged, and in between there will be a peptide bond that will be created. This process is called translation. Now what are you doing? It is a script. We have got the script. We are reading the script. We are translating it and bringing all the materials. So it is what? Translation. That is how it is given. Now remember this trick. What do you mean by translation? The mRNA code is being read by the tRNA and the amino acids are brought by it and arranged to form a complex protein. That is translation. Amino acid brought by the tRNA are joined by the peptide bond between them with the help of ribosomes. What is there? Ribosomes now will help to bind them together. You know, if you have ever seen your mothers cook, they will always add one potato to something, some patty or something. If they make, they'll add one potato, 2 potatoes to it. So to bind them all together. Potatoes give them bindings. The starch gives them binding. So in the same way, peptide bond will give them binding. So who is the mother over here? The ribosomes are the mother who are putting these peptide bonds between them and making them all together. The ribosomes moves along the mRNA one codon at a time. That is called as translocation. The ribosomes moves along the mRNA. Now it will move along the mRNA. The mRNA is arranged like this, and the mother will watch on the mRNA what is written on the mRNA, and accordingly it will connect all the amino acid, because all the amino acid are being brought by the tRNA at a place. Then the ribosomes will take one amino acid which is required at the first place, second place, third place. So the mother is there to check if each and every child has been arranged properly or not. So translocation is done by ribosomes. Many amino acids join together to form a peptide bond, that is protein. These proteins control various functions and determine traits like the structure and the appearance, as I had already described. Okay. This is the 20 amino acid codes that he had discovered. See, phenyl amino acid. So UUC, that is the code for phenyl amino acid. Then for, if I say valine, so GUU, GUC, GUA, GUG, that is for valine. So that is how glycine, GGU, GGC, GGA, GGG. So that is how it has been discovered. Hargobind Khurana had discovered all these 20 amino acids. There are 20 amino acids. If you count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you count till glycine, it is all 20 amino acids. So that is what Hargobind Khurana had discovered. Okay. So I end this lesson over here. Please revise well. Revise the textbook very well. Read it once again. We'll do evaluation, the evidence for evolution and everything others, each and every part in the next videos. It will be listed below. Day after tomorrow or maybe tomorrow. We'll see to that. But thanks for watching.